Hello, welcome to the latest edition of the ALS Association Greater Philadelphia Chapter Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Heil, the Communication Director here at the chapter. And this month is ALS Awareness Month. We're right in the middle of May, and with so many events going on, the Phillies Festival, the Walk to Defeat ALS, advocacy, the Step Up to the Plate, restaurant fundraiser. But something else is coming up in June, and we're spending May getting ready for it, and that is the Ride to Defeat ALS. And today, my guests are one of our top ride leaders over the past many years, Marcia Telthorster, and Jamie Piggott, who is is the lead organizer here on staff for the Ride to Defeat ALS. So, Marcia and Jamie, thanks for joining the podcast.
Thank you for inviting us.
Thanks for having us here. And little known fact, May is National Bike Month.
May is National Bike Month, which is all the more reason to get involved. Yeah. We just did a Facebook Live video. We're getting out more information out there. You got a great committee for the ride. But it starts with the riders themselves. So, Marcia, because you've been doing this longer than Jamie, he's kind of the slackers on Indonesia for a couple of years, tell us what team you're on and why you ride to defeat ALS.
Sure. My team is Legs for Greg, and it's in honor of my husband, Greg Telthorster, who suffered with this disease for 10 years and passed away about 2 years ago. But the entire time, we were caring for him. We were riding, and I have had a number of riders over the years. Our best year was a year we had 40 riders, which was pretty amazing. And this year, because it's the 40th anniversary, I'm hoping to get 40 again. Currently, I have 18, so if anybody's interested, sign up for Legs for Greg. We'd love to have you. I ride to support the families that do suffer with this disease. I received a lot of services, a lot of support from the ALS Association here in Philadelphia, and it's just my way and certainly my family's way of giving back a little bit.
Well, we really appreciate it. Obviously, we appreciate your family a little bit more than most because we have a little special connection with the Telthorster family. And not that we don't love everybody, don't get me wrong, but we had Becca here who worked here in our office for many years and did amazing things to help lead us. And Jamie, I think even though this is your second Ride to Defeat ALS.
Correct.
But you've supported it before, right?
I have supported it because of a friend, the West Rose, and the Rose Pedal team. We supported that in the years past, so that's my connection with that. So.
And because, obviously you care about your friend, but then you knew there were awesome events like the Ride to Defeat ALS, and that's part of the reason you're excited to be an event organizer here.
That is correct. One of the things that when I came on board was the bike ride was very exciting to me.
Right.
And that's something that I wanted to be involved with in all facets, and I love it. I love, being a part of it and trying to, not only create awareness for the disease, but create awareness for the ride. We wanted to get bigger and better and raise more funds. So,
well, I know from talking to you every year, it's about what we're going to do next year that's different. You got a committee.
Mm-hmm.
How many people are on the ride committee?
4.
But they're active.
They're very active.
It's better to have 4 people are doing stuff than
Yes.
10 people are sticking their thumb up in their nose.
Yeah. And one of the things that the committee we chose to do this year is to name Marcia as our ride ambassador. She will be we're putting the spotlight on Marcia this year to lead our riders and our participants, lead the charge to, on all facets. But she's there to guide us in our fundraising efforts and to be with us on that ride day. And it's just really an honor and a privilege just to have Marcia be a part of it, but for her to be the ambassador and to be the face of what this bike ride is all about. We're truly grateful for everything that she does. And that was a decision that the committee made because we do appreciate everything that Marcia does for us.
Well, thank you very much for that. It's been a great thing to be part of the bike ride for the 10 years that I've done it. And it's a great ride. It's well supported, great snacks. Sag wagon shows up when you need it. Not that I've ever had a flat on the ride, just saying. Right, exactly. But
it's better organized than the Fire Festival. I've been reading about it. And we have better food than that festival too, which costs a lot more money.
It's a lot of food. It's actually very good. And I like the fact that I've been able to pick my length of ride. I can do 10, 25, 50, or 75 miles. And I've done them all except 10. And this year it's going to be 25, and thank you for allowing me to kick off at 25 miles. The year I did 75 with good friends from church and my son-in-law, my goal really was to get in before dark. It wasn't even to get in before the end of the party. It was really to get in before dark, and I showed up at, I think, 2:45, and I think the whole thing's supposed to be over somewhere around 3. And I did blow a tire on the bridge, which meant I rode the last 3 miles on a flat tire because I was not going to wait for the sag wagon. I did want to get there before it closed. So that's my claim to fame. Not necessarily proud of it, but it's what happened. And you can muscle through pretty much anything, which is kind of like this terrible disease. Your family gets it, and it really is a family disease. It's not an individual disease, although my husband might argue with that. I don't think so. And everybody has to pull through together, and everybody has to help. And that's kind of what this community is. We get together, we do walks, we ride bikes, we have our own fundraisers. Jamie and his committee offered a virtual option this year. If you don't want to ride, you don't want to go to the shore on Father's Day weekend, you don't want to dip your toes in the Atlantic Ocean or get sand in your suit, you don't have to. You can just send notes out to friends that care about the causes you support, and it's just that simple. You can go on and be a virtual rider, which means you never have to put your butt in a seat, but you can still do really great work for a really great cause. I'm going to recommend it to everybody, and if you don't have a team, sign up for Legs for Greg. I'd love to have you, or better yet, start your own. I think that's the most effective way to do it.
Absolutely.
And that's one of your goals as an ambassador, is to get other people to do their own teams.
Correct.
Because you're not just an ambassador for Legs for Greg.
Correct.
But you talked about it being a family and community event, and that ALS is a family and community disease. Because I know you did a few years ago, you did the mini walk in your hometown, and you got the whole community together. So you guys are like that.
We did. Because my husband could no longer go down to the November walk at the stadium. It was too cold. It was too far. He was not quite up for it. Mm-hmm. My committee decided to have the walk on my little tiny cul-de-sac street. And we had over 100 people there that day. And it was really very special. We had a parade. The neighbors put out trash cans for us. We had at least 6 or 8 neighbors that gave away pretzels and drinks, and somebody even manned the spun sugar machine, which really is a mess, and we bless them to this day for doing that. Yeah. So it really was special, and it's a sense of community that you get to be a part of, and not just everybody can be a part of it. So you're really sort of drawn into it because of your connections and your willingness to help.
And that's the kind of community you get at the bike ride, too. That you see all sorts of friends every year.
Exactly. I see some of the same riders every year. I love the team names, Rose Petals that you mentioned earlier. How cute is that? Yeah. That's just adorable.
That's one of the advantages of having a name like Rose.
Yeah, really.
There's not a lot of good things I can do with Heil.
I'm not going to remember them all, and I'm sorry I'm going to miss some of the really good names, but Delaney Strong is a great name. Mm-hmm.
Legs for Greg is a great name.
Legs for Greg is a great name, of course. And my nephew has created a new logo for us this year. So he's taken the Legs logo and he's turned it into a Wheels logo for us. So for our shirts this year. So we're excited about that. And the only thing I can say to anybody who's considering doing the bike ride is a single. Absolutely do it. But you want to make sure you bring a friend or two along. It's just so much more fun. If you do it. And there's a lot to do and a lot to feel good about. And it's flat. Did I mention it's flat?
It's mostly flat.
Flat is good. That last little bridge at the end is a bit of a surprise. They give you a bit of a hill at the end, but up until that point, it's pretty flat and makes for a really good ride.
Yeah, and we have a logistics company new this year, which they'll be marking the course with more visible signs. Added to it is actually a bike path. So we beat some of that shore traffic along some of the circles as you head into Wildwood. So we're excited about that. And it is flat. And it is
flat
good.
is good.
Yeah, flat is good. So that's one of the keys. And I think as Ride Ambassador, you have some connections with Mother Nature. Is that correct? Because
every year we have done this, knock on whatever, it has been beautiful.
Right.
And I'm really hoping this year will be no exception.
Well, you asked Mother Nature for partly cloudy and a tailwind.
Pretty
this
much.
Year. So is
Pretty much.
Yeah, why didn't we do that before?
Yeah.
Well, she has
we
connections.
need the right ambassador.
Yeah, we need an ambassador to do that.
We're working on it.
Yes.
We're working on it.
Now, the one thing you're working on, it takes you a few months to raise the money, and we're now in May, but you wouldn't tell people, oh, it's too late, right?
Oh, gosh,
it's
no.
never too late to start organizing for this, right?
It's never too late, and I think people underestimate the power of one email.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, my friends and your friends are all very generous people, and they donate to causes. What's to make me think, or you think, that they would not want to donate to a cause that I feel passionate about? And so I would encourage everybody to at least let your friends know what you're doing. If you have 10 friends, each gives $10, you've already made $100. It's not a very hard thing to do, and I know that Jamie and his team would help you even write it if you needed to, or I'd be happy to do that. In any case, it's not as hard as you think, making that first outreach to people that care about the things that you care about. So even if you're a virtual rider, that's a way to do it. And if you're actually going to get on the bike and feel really great and healthy about what you're doing for a great cause, do send the emails out, because it really does make a difference.
And there are a few people signing up to be a virtual rider this year. It's a neat new thing. I met with the Carolina Phelan's daughters, Emma and Sophia, and their team. They met with their congresswoman for advocacy and do a video with Philly Films Productions. And their congresswoman, Bonnie Watson-Coleman, she's like, I'm not going to ride 50 miles in New Jersey. But I will be a virtual rider. Like, she says, is that a thing I can do? And like, of course.
That's great.
So you're right. And all you have to do is ask. And Jamie, there's tools. Like, you tell people, here's what works.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they can always call me at the office, or they can email me. All the information is on als-express.org. We're here to help. The team and I, and there's plenty of tools. There's different tips for fundraising, so there's plenty of opportunities to get that to help raise your funds.
Mm-hmm.
And take advantage of your family's interest. A big shout out to Becca Pace, who was an employee here at the ALS Association in Philadelphia for a while, and her husband Jeff, and my daughter Jessie, and her husband Gibber, who are now living in the Middle East. They are still very supportive of this initiative, and they connect with their friends, and that helps all of us, because the more people that know about this terrible disease, it isn't all about raising money, it's also about awareness. Even just reaching out is a way to educate people as to what this is and what people need and what we can do about it as a community.
Yeah, and I know you've spent a lot of time over the last 10 years educating people. And a lot of people have learned about ALS because of your family. And when I've done advocacy in Harrisburg, I remember meeting some people, even there, who said, oh, I knew this guy who was a teacher in Bucks County. Who's that? Oh, Mr. Telthorster. You probably don't. Mr. T, you probably don't know. I was like, yes, we know him very well.
Yep.
A lot of people knew Greg.
Yeah.
I think there was someone in Senator Greenleaf's office that knew him.
Mm-hmm.
And that leads to all sorts of things where maybe you can only contribute $10, which is great, but then you never know the connections that can get out of it.
I think $10 is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who is generous enough to provide that is doing a real service for families who have needs, and the chapter can support those needs.
And it all adds up. Once you give the $10, $5, $50, $500, $40 because their 40th anniversary, and you never know what else you can do because you're helping to spread awareness, especially this month.
Right.
Yeah.
So people are able to come if they feel there's no judgment if you do the 10 miles, right?
Oh, sometimes the 10 miles is the right answer.
Right.
Yeah.
I've never ridden more than 5 miles in my life.
And honestly, whether you ride 10 or 75, generally the amount of money you raise is about the same.
Right.
So think about that. If your bottom doesn't think it can support a 50 mile or 25 mile, do the 10. It's very exciting and it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. My son did it for the first time, and he rode with the Rose Petals team, and he got a bike and he practiced leading up to it, and he loved it. And it was, to him to actually, we would go to walks or we would fundraise, but for him to actually get on a bike and ride for a patient was something that was meaningful to him. And he was able to do it. I was really proud of him, one, because he's my son, but number two, here's somebody that, just wanted to get on a bike and pedal for, the patients that we have and for a cause. And he did some fundraising in the neighborhood. And that wasn't because of me. It was because he wanted to do it for his buddy's dad. And those are the motivation that you look at, and you're like, it's pretty incredible. And just to see these kids, and him and his buddies are now talking about maybe doing the 25-mile ride.
Wow.
So we'll see what happens. But you have these people that, even I could say my own son, that can go out and do something like that.
And what age was he?
Well, he was 12.
12?
Yeah.
So of a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
And what a great way to introduce them to charity and community. I think it's awesome.
And that's what I was going to get at. The community that he felt. He didn't see me all day. I was working. I was running around. But he rode with a team, and he rode with a group of people. So at the starting point, at the 10, you're going to be doing the 25 start. But they all are together and for one mission, one goal, to get to that finish line and to raise funds. But the community and the family atmosphere was something that was really meaningful to him. And then when he rode in at the end point and had everyone cheering, it's a sense of accomplishment, not only for him, but for all the riders. And that's why we really want to make the end point something very, rewarding. We want to celebrate our fundraising success, but celebrate that you went out and did something. And that to me is very important. So
yeah, it makes me think. One, I think there's no event we have that has that same level of feeling of accomplishment as the bike ride. The walks are fantastic. The Phillies Festival is the best event that any sports team does in all of sports. But to accomplish something of doing 25 miles on a bike ride, to me, that's a lot. But also the ALS, as you know, both of you know, all of us know, ALS can make you feel very powerless. And the bike ride, being able to accomplish that, and you feel like you're getting some power back as a spouse or a loved one. Do you get that feeling too?
Absolutely. It was when you can't do anything, this is something you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And it does absolutely give you some control back.
Yeah, and I've seen some really powerful pictures from families who've lost somebody, and they bond in ways that they do at this ride that you don't at other events, and that's something big.
It's very true.
Yeah.
And Jamie, you talked about your son at 12 years old doing this. It's something where you can have any ability rider, if you're able to ride, no matter the age. It's one of the most family-friendly active events that we could have. And so we have a number of kids that do this, right?
We have a number of kids. We do have two youth ambassadors, Emma and Sophia Phelan. And one of the things that we were trying to do, because Marcia's... she's a crazy fundraiser, and she's out of the box. So we were hoping maybe, because at the end of Maury's Pier, because we get 2 tickets for every rider, but we were going to have Marcia, our ride ambassador, and our two youth leaders to ride down the slides together after ride's over. So
nice.
This is a good photo op for Marcia to go down the water slides with the two Phelan girls.
See if we're going to bring the GoPro and have them go down that.
Yeah.
As long as I get the lazy river after, I'm good.
Yeah, that's right.
We might be able to do that. We should talk about it after
Yeah.
this. I still have the GoPro to use for that. But in addition to it being a ride that anyone can do, we also have some very prominent riders that ride this ride, because it's been listed as one of the top 5 or 6 bike rides in the Philadelphia area. And, there's some people that come they're not even connected to ALS, right?
They are not...
maybe not as connected as Marcia and you are, but some people that do it because of the bike ride aspect.
Because it's a nice bike ride. It was
It's a great ride. Well supported. Absolutely.
And Philadelphia Magazine last year said it was one of the top 5 rides in the area. So we're and it's really there's back roads. It's shady at spot. It's very easy. It's well marked, and it's flat. So
Flat
so
is important.
Yeah, and so we have people that have gotten involved with the ride just because of the ride, but now have been invested. I mean, they're raising their money. They registered, so all that goes back to the chapter. So they are making a difference when they ride in our ride, and that's huge. And we appreciate them, being a part of it, because when people see these people riding down the street and they're part of the ALS ride, it's meaningful. It's powerful to see these people to ride and be engaged in something like that. And they might not have a connection, but they're creating awareness as they're fundraising, as they're getting out there and saying, "Hey, I'm gonna go ride for ALS."
Yeah, and you made a lot of connections, Marcia, and I'm sure that makes you feel very positive during a terrible situation.
Absolutely, and you can't live through a diagnosis like ALS without the support of really great friends, and I have lots of great friends, can't name you all, family, and the larger community, particularly those that are supported by ALS. You just can't do it without. And so we are so grateful, those of us that have been suffering with this diagnosis, to have a great organization like ALS Philadelphia to help us. It's been really, really wonderful to be a part of this.
And I just want to ask two more things, and then we'll be done with our podcast. But you talked about the large community. I know, like I said, a lot of people who I didn't know would know Greg said great things about him and you and your family. Were you surprised when you first got involved by the outpouring of love and support for your team? And for
Shocked.
You guys? Yeah.
Shocked. The first walk we did at the Bucks County Oxford Valley Mall was the first walk we did. We had 100 people there in orange T-shirts. And we had no idea that we were going to be supported to that level by those people. We just sent out an invitation, and we had 100 people show up. It was shocking to us. And as a result of that, I got to be a little better in my saying thank you and yes after that. Because when you're faced with this, I'm capable working woman. No, I got it. No problem. I don't need it. Thank you. I'm good. And then when I saw this outpouring of community support, someone would say, can I do this for you? Can I bring you food? Can I do whatever? I got way better at saying yes, thank you. Because at the beginning, it's hard to do that. But it was overwhelming, and it would have been silly to say no. So, yes, it was helpful. And just inviting people was the best thing Greg and I ever did. And Greg let me do that. It was his situation, and I was taking lead from him. And we agreed that this was the way to go. It was to invite people in, not shut them out. And it really helped us. It just did.
ALS is such an isolating disease, no matter what.
Can be.
And events like this can make it less isolating because you never realize how many people care until you ask.
Correct.
And Jamie, I'd really be remiss if we didn't mention the committee members because they're doing such great work. So if you want to tell people, there's Chris and Scott.
Chris Schofield, Scott Israel, Barry Schultz, and Gary Cohen.
Greg Schultz. So thank you guys for being on the committee. Thank you to all the riders. We're going to have how many people? Like 70,000? Or is that how many people filled the Silver Dome when Hulk Hogan slammed Andre the Giant? I don't remember.
I do want to mention that you probably saw it on Facebook Live, but Marcia has her ALS Express shirt on, but she also has wonderful earrings that need to be highlighted. She has bicycle earrings, so we appreciate you dressing appropriately for the.
Thank you.
Yeah,
and you both dress appropriately for the podcast, so that's important.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are a lot of really cool jerseys that people wear, a lot of cool team names. Yeah. It's an event where you can be more creative than in other things.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you guys again. How do you sign up to do it?
Just go to als-express.org and sign up. It has all the information there, or you can just call. My number and email is on that site. Call, and I can help you get registered.
So register. If you don't want to come or you can't come, you can be a virtual rider. Donate to any one of the many great teams. And also make sure to share our information. We're at ALS Philadelphia on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat. We can be snapping there.
Yeah.
And help spread awareness for ALS this month and for the bike ride in the next few weeks. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.